gosh, I am so excited to be starting off in the kitchen today. Now, all week long, we are doing gardening week. And yesterday, we made a recipe using one of my very favorite, most punk rock onions, the leek. But today, we're going a little smaller, and we are gonna be working with green onions, also known as spring onions if you live anywhere in the UK. They're really, really delicious. They're bright, they're fresh, you hardly have to cook them, and I love them so, so much. Honestly, one of the main contentions when my husband and I, Aaron, started dating was he didn't like green onions. And let me tell you, I fixed that. Right? You just put him in enough stuff and he's gonna get used to it. All right, in addition to that, I also got some spinach because I'm gonna need that later, so pop that down. But what I wanted to make today is essentially something, I guess this kind of dates back to when Aaron and I started dating, university days. Back in university, I don't know about you, but I ate a lot of this stuff. Now, this is not the hair of an NSYNC member. This is ramen, and it is delicious. Honestly, this stuff kept me going. I loved it so, so much. It cooks really quickly. It's super tasty. Typically, it comes with those little packets of sauce or powder that you make into a delicious soup. If you want to get nice ramen, obviously go out for that. It's always delish. But this is a great way to use these super quick cooking noodles in a really nutritious, delicious way. Just chock-a-block full of all of those delicious spring vegetables that I love using so much. So since this is a university dish, I want to see if I can do this quickly, because I don't know about you, but when I was in university, I had to get back to reading about, you know, the War of 1812 and Joyce and Chaucer and things like this. So you got to make it quick. So I am going to attempt to do this whole dish in under 10 minutes. So let's get a timer on the clock. I know, guys, it's going to be real. So we've got that timer up. Keep me honest. I'm going to be checking in on the time. Let's start it now. Okay, perfect. So to get started on this dish, I gotta cook these little ramen noodles. Now, if you had fresh ramen noodles, feel free to do that. That was not me in university, it was this stuff. So I am going to put together this by cooking these up in some water. Now, I am gonna salt that water with some salt, just like I would pasta, because it's a good way to start seasoning this dish immediately. Now, you want about 350-ish grams of these ramen noodles, so I'm gonna pop those in. Now, these are supposed to feed, I think, each 2 people. I don't know who does that. So I'm gonna do, I would eat a whole one of these by myself, right? Did anyone else also eat these like raw, because they're fried? Thank you. I thought I was gonna get a bunch of booze, but thank you very much for having my back there, everybody. All right, those only take about 4 minutes to cook. They take no time at all. So while those get going, I'm gonna get to work on the sauce. Where are we at? Oh my gosh, I'm talking too much. We're already almost a minute in. Okay, so we are gonna do for this sauce, we're doing a delicious green garlic ginger sauce. So it's packed full of everything wonderful, and we're gonna start off with green onions. So I need about 4 green onions here, and I'm just gonna give those a good rough chop. I don't need to be too fancy with this, because I am gonna blend this sauce up and make it nice and creamy and delicious. So get rid of those, pop them into my veg bowl that I'm gonna use for compost, because it's gardening week. We're keeping on top of it. Do I do this at home? I try to pretend I'm going to. I do use my compost bin, but it usually just goes out to the curb. All right, in addition to that, I also need 2 cloves of garlic. So I've got those here, and I'm just gonna give those a bit of a smash, which I rarely do. I don't like chopping garlic, but I'm just gonna do a rough chop on these, because again, I'm gonna pop this into a blender or a food processor, so everything will come together. Now, I do need to add a little bit of fat into my pan. So I've got a pan here over about medium-ish heat, and I'm gonna add in butter. One thing I've always had on hand in my life is some butter, whether it's in the fridge or freezer, I've always got it. Now, if you don't, you could use oil here. You could use, honestly, like, I think I talked about this yesterday as well. My husband, his roommate, always had that weird apple juice can of bacon fat in the fridge. I wouldn't be mad at that if you like bacon. You could pop that in here. That's for Michael Henry. That's my husband's old roommate. All right, now that is just melting down, and I'm gonna pop those green onions and that garlic in. How are we doing for time, everybody? Woo! Okay, cool. We got this. We got this. So add those veg in. That's going to start cooking down, but I only want that to cook for about a minute. Green onions cook up super quickly, really, really tasty, and they're just going to start tasting nice and bright and even more green than they already are. That garlic's just going to cook off just a titch, but we're still going to get a little bit of punch. If you want to cook that garlic down even more, feel free to rasp it into there. That'll cook down in no time. While that does its thing, though, I got to get my ginger. And do we know where I keep my ginger? The freezer. We got it. Okay, cool. Now, this is a tip that I discovered because when you are in university, you're trying to save every dollar. And a saved fruit or vegetable is a saved dollar because you are not chucking it away. If you store your ginger in the freezer, it's gonna last for pretty much ever. And it makes it really easy to incorporate into anything you're putting it in. So I've got my rasp here, and I'm just gonna rasp about 2 to 3 tablespoons, or teaspoons, whatever you'd like, right on into that pan. You know what, I'm going on the big side. This is the thing too, it also makes it really easy to rasp. You don't have to peel it. I know some people are gonna be like, don't you have to get your spoon to peel that ginger? Nah, if you put it in the freezer, it breaks down all of those tough fibers and it grates right on in. If you tried to do this with fresh ginger, it gets kind of like stringy, and I don't like that. I don't want that. All right, I'm gonna call that good to go. Honestly, if I was doing this for me, I'd put in even more ginger because I love it. How are we doing for time though? Okay, we're feeling okay. You know, I'm gonna put more ginger in. We got time. We got this. So that ginger is just gonna quickly cook into there. Those onions have gotten even more bright green. They're looking absolutely beautiful. My noodles are starting to break down. They still look like somebody's hairdo, but that's okay. All right, now I'm gonna take this pan off of the heat and I'm just gonna add all of those green onions into my blender. Now, if you don't have a stand blender like this, you could easily do this with a smoothie blender, especially if you're only making this for 1 or 2 people. That would be perfect. But I'm gonna add that right on in. See that bright green color? That little bit of butter in there. I'm not gonna scrape it out super well because I'm actually gonna use this residual butter in a minute. But into here, I'm gonna start building that sauce even more. So we've got some cooked down greens, we've got that garlic. I'm gonna toss in the juice of a lime. Now, for your lime, you always wanna go with one that's kind of like heavier than it looks. Sometimes I like it when they're a little bit squishy too, not gonna lie. And honestly, the uglier the lime, usually the better it juices. So like, don't be shy with those kind of 50% off bins for your citrus in particular. That's a great deal finding mission and what I liked to think about when I was in university. All right. Okay. This was a tough one. This was too pretty of a lime, so this is going in. I'm gonna add in the juice of 1 lime straight on in there. And then to season this up even more, I haven't put any salt in here yet, but for salt, I'm actually gonna use, if I can get this lime juice. This is my workout of the day. I feel like I'm gonna need a nap or some delicious ramen after this. All right, I'm gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. So that's gonna go right on in, give me a little bit of that umami saltiness. Pop that into that blender. We're making the world's weirdest smoothie, but that's okay. And then, what else do I wanna put in there? Ooh, a little bit of that cooking liquid. That's gonna help kind of loosen everything up. What am I gonna use? I'll use a ladle, perfect. Little bit of this liquid is gonna loosen it up. It's also gonna kind of cook things down. Now, remember that spinach from earlier? I'm gonna add that in here as well. That's gonna give me a really nice, thick, delicious sauce. It's gonna be wonderful. And it's gonna almost make it kind of sort of like a pesto, and you're getting your greens in some way. So I'm gonna add about 2 handfuls of that baby spinach right on into the mix. Oopsie, she's making a mess. Don't worry, my roommates will clean it up. We got it. All right, now I'm just gonna blitz this until it is a beautiful bright green sauce. Okay, and go, maybe? There we go. Adding more liquid just to make sure it all comes together. I'm not gonna lie, I might have put too much liquid in there, but it's gonna come together. I'm gonna add more spinach. This is what university cooking was like in my house. Actually, my roommates could always tell if I was stressed or had stuff due because they would come home and there'd be like a cake and a pie and a chicken and a bunch of sauce and all this stuff done, and they'd be like, yes, are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry, it's totally cool. All right, just gonna blitz that up again, let that go. And while that does its thing, that's gonna be thick and creamy and delicious. That soy sauce is gonna bring everything together. And then I am just going to get those noodles out of that pot. How are we doing for time, everybody? Ah! Okay, cool. Does it really actually 7? Oh my gosh, I'm good at calling for when we need it. Okay, these noodles are looking perfect. They have cooked up beautifully, so I'm just gonna transfer those into a bowl. You can also do this straight in the pot if you wanna drain them, but just pop them over. Again, if you wanted to do this even with like a classic noodle or a buckwheat soba noodle, that would be absolutely delicious as well. But that is looking totally delish. So I'm just gonna set that aside. We've got that delicious sauce that is so bright and fresh and green. I'm gonna pour a little bit of that right on top. Give that a little bit of a toss together just to bring everything together. And if you wanted to serve this just like this with this beautiful bright green sauce, I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at you, but this is the good stuff, so I gotta add some more stuff. In this pan where we've got that residual butter, I'm also gonna toss in some enoki mushrooms. Now, these are the quickest cooking mushrooms, and they look like they're from space, which is very exciting. They're so fun and tiny. They're kind of like the noodle of the mushroom world. So I'm gonna grab a little handful of those babies and just toss them straight on into my pan. Any of that residual butter is gonna start cooking those down. I'm also gonna toss in just a little bit of soy sauce just to, again, bring that saltiness, a little bit of extra flavor. That's gonna help those cook down beautifully. Give them a little bit of a toss. And just as quick as that, maybe about 30 seconds to a minute, those are perfectly cooked. They're gonna be tender and delish. So I'm gonna complete this up while those do their thing. So grab your delicious noodles. How are we doing for time? Okay, perfect. I'm not gonna lie, earlier I thought I could do this in 8, but clearly I talked too much, but that's okay. Add those noodles right on into your bowl. They are garlicky, they are green, they are so good. A little bit of lime right on the side. Just to give a hint of what else is going on in there too, a little bit of that green onion, just thinly sliced. If you've got some left over, if you don't worry, but just some thinly sliced green onion right on there as well. Gonna go grab my mushrooms. They're looking delicious. Okay, oh, they look really good. Good job, Mary. Okay, cool. This is really good. Pop those babies right on top, almost like little mushroomy noodles. Totally delish. Those green onions go on, and then for a little bit of nutty crunch and a little bit of spice, we're gonna do some sesame seeds and a little bit of chili flake. How are we doing for time? Woo! What do we got for time? And we're done. 9:35. Honestly, not too shabby. I am feeling excellent about this. And if you talk, it'll take you even less time. Or you don't talk. I'm gonna give these a go, start reliving my 18-year-old self. Oh my gosh. So much better than it has any right to be. Bright green, delicious. Can't even deal. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.